Dear brothers and sisters, this weekend, many people all around the globe are remembering Sant Singh Ji Maharaj. Yesterday, August 21st, was the day when he physically left his body, and the 80 years that he spent on earth were years which brought tremendous transformation in the lives of many people. When we remember Sant Singh Ji Maharaj, we remember his love, we remember his compassion, we remember his discipline, and we remember the tremendous efforts that he put in his life to first reach his goal and then to be able to disseminate the ancient wisdom coming from the East, the methods of meditation, and bring them to the West. I was only 28 years old, being a young adult, when the great spiritual master, Sant Singh Ji Maharaj, physically left the body. But the years that I had an opportunity to spend with him were those years which made tremendous effects on my own life. His love, his guidance, his way of explaining what was very intricate and very simple words, his leadership, his showing the path, and his guiding everyone towards their goal is something that not only me, but everyone who got an opportunity to have the mysteries of the beyond be unraveled to them through his grace can never forget. Sant Singh Ji Maharaj was very loving, not only to his family members, not only to his friends or people in the neighborhood, but everyone who came to him. You could see the signs of love in him from a very young age. He realized that this life is one in which we need to attain something. We're all here with a purpose, and the purpose is to truly know ourselves. And as we know ourselves, as we truly are, then to find ways by which we can connect with the Creator. He always believed in experiencing the Creator. He would often say, seeing is above all. Then we need to see for ourselves what the reality is, not by our outer eyes, but by our inner eye. We need to hear what the reality is, not with his outer ears, but by our inner ears. And he taught people, not only in the East, but also in the West, mechanism by which we can connect to the divine light and sound of God, the two primal manifestations of the Creator. And so when we look at his life, we find the love, the compassion coming from him, we find how he took care of every aspect of those that he met. We find what tremendous efforts he made himself to be able to attain this saintly state. And we find that his guidance was global. It wasn't limited to just a few in one part of the world, or people of one faith, but each and every one, irrespective of whatever cultures they were from, irrespective of whatever faiths they belonged to, benefited from his grace. While he was young, his father, Sardar Hukam Singh, got quite sick. And as was the custom in the East, Sant Kripal Singh Ji Maharaj would encourage his father to repeat God's name, which is called Simran. Have faith in God, repeat God's name, and all good things will come to you. And with time his father got well. And when his father got well, he wanted to give a boon to Sant Kripal Singh Ji Maharaj. And so he asked his son to ask for anything that he wanted. Because the father had listened to his son and had remembered God. It's very interesting what Sant Kripal Singh Ji Maharaj asked of his father. He didn't ask for anything material, but what he said was very beautiful. He said, "Father, if you want to give me something, please pray for me that in my life, through God's grace, I meet a perfect spiritual master, a perfect saint, so that I can be guided towards my goal of self-realization and God-realization." And so later on in life, when Sant Kripal Singh Ji Maharaj came in the presence of Hazur Baba Sawan Singh Ji Maharaj, and when he realized that that was the spiritual master who could guide him, who could reveal the message of the beyond to him, he would always mention that it was the blessings of his father who had him come to the feet of Hazur. He was always trying to put teachings that Hazur Baba Sawan Singh Ji Maharaj gave in a day-to-day life and trying to bring those teachings to everyone else. He was lucky to have received the boon of transvision. So one time, in his vision, he saw a very big stadium. And in the stadium, he saw himself and Hazur Baba Sawan Singh Ji Maharaj with many people in the stadium. He saw the people were sitting on the chairs, and he saw a mic in front of him, and he saw that he was giving a spiritual sermon. So he went to Hazur and he talked about this vision. And Hazur told him that it would be true. And then Sant Kripal Singh Ji Maharaj encouraged Hazur Baba Sawan Singh Ji Maharaj to come to America, to go beyond the shores of India, to be able to take the teachings to Europe, America, South America, and the rest of the world. And Hazur very lovingly told him, that it wasn't Hazur who was going to go, but it was Sant Kripal Singh Ji Maharaj who would go to these lands and disseminate the teachings to them. And so we see that Sant Kripal Singh Ji Maharaj made 3 world tours. The first one in 1955, the second one in 1963, and the third one in 1972. And through those tours, the teachings of being able to know ourselves, the teachings of being able to connect with the Creator were disseminated to many, many in the West. Each one of his tours brought more and more people to come to listen to him. He came at a time when meditation was considered to be something that only people in the East do. People in the West were not familiar with it. If you told someone you're a vegetarian, they look at you and wonder how many more months you're going to survive. But his teachings of being a vegetarian, his teachings of being able to know ourselves, his teaching of sitting in silence and meditating, to be able to connect with the divine power within ourselves, is what drew many, many people towards him. And we know that he would spend tremendous amounts of time to be able to answer their questions. While he was on tour, he would find the time to physically answer their questions when he was with a lot of people. When he was in India, he would take time every day and respond to all the letters that he would receive from all over the world. He was very diligent in what he did. It's very interesting that just recently, in this pandemic, we all are cleaning house. Over the years, we've been doing things and doing things and doing things. And the same has happened in my life in the last over 30 years. That I've been traveling from one place to another, from another place to another. And when you do that, and when you're doing and doing and doing, many times you don't have any time to reflect on what is happening. So the pandemic has been an opportunity for many people to reflect on what has happened, to clean house, to get the clutter out of the house. And in this time, as I was going through some of the materials, which I hadn't had an opportunity to look at, because of traveling from one place to another all the time, I found a handwritten notebook of Sant Kripal Singh Ji Maharaj. It was eye-opening for me to see in those times, which is maybe over 50 years ago and more, how diligent Sant Kripal Singh Ji Maharaj was. In his notebook, he would write his daily routine. What time would he be giving satsang? What time would he be putting people in meditation? What time would he be seeing the people who he was supposed to see? And not only that, what is that he would be eating? He was tracking that. And also, it's very interesting that somewhere in the diary, what really amazed me was the time that he found to track how his money was being spent. How he would see so many people and be able to keep track of what was happening was amazing to me. It showed the efforts that he put in to make his life very clean and clear, and help from him going to others. Someone who tracks themselves are the ones who reach their goals. And this is why Sant Singh Ji Maharaj gave all of us the spiritual introspection diary, so that we can introspect ourselves, we can look at ourselves on a daily basis. We can see what shortcomings we have, we can fix the difficulties or the problems in our life, and we become a better person tomorrow. Those who fill the diaries, who track themselves, are the ones who know what has happened with them. So the next day they are a better human being. And what I saw in how Sant Singh Ji Maharaj was keeping notes of what was happening in our life was amazing. Great saints like Sant Singh Ji Maharaj come into this world with just one purpose. And that purpose is to uplift humanity. They're not there for one faith, they're not there for one culture, they're not there for one society, they're not there for one country. They help everyone who comes to them. Because when they see a human being, they're not looking at the outer signs of that human being, they're actually experiencing the soul, which is giving life to that human. And so Sant Singh Ji Maharaj was also called the father of the human unity movement. He had many conferences to bring people together. He first had conferences which were called the World Fellowship of Religion conferences, which brought people of various faiths together. And then he started this Human Unity conferences, which at that time were known as Unity of Man conference, in which, irrespective of whatever faith one belongs to, or those who did not even believe in God, could come and sit together. Because he wanted us to experience that we are all human beings. We are at the same level. And through his teachings, he would have us experience the divine light and sound that we are. He would teach us how to rise above physical body consciousness, so that we experience ourselves not only at the physical level, which we do on a daily basis through our physical senses, but we experience ourselves as soul. A soul which is a part of the Creator, a soul which is conscious, a soul which is full of love and light, a soul which is peaceful, a soul which is calm. And he wanted us to home into that soul, so that the peace and the calm and the light would sprout out from us. So that not only would we become a better person, a calmer person, a peaceful person, but it will also reflect on the lives of everyone else that we touch. That our peacefulness would help others too, and bring more calm and joy into their lives. Sant Singh Ji Maharaj not only believed in the equality of humans, he also believed that the animals and the birds and the fish are also at the same level as all human beings. And this is where the concept of vegetarianism comes into play. Not to harm any animal or bird or fish. To realize that they are at the same state as we are. Their outer state might be different, but on the inside they're also souls. We are lucky to have been born in this human body because all the faculties that are required to know us have been provided in this human frame. But all living creatures are one and the same. And when we do meditate, and when we connect with the divine light within ourselves, the realization that we can experience God sets in. And as we realize the presence of God in our own being, we also automatically start to realize that the presence of God is also in other living beings. And then, when we see someone else, it's not their outer appearance that we experience, but it's the inner part of their being. We experience God in them. We experience an extension of ourselves in them. And it is then that life is lived in the manner that it truly should be lived. The teachings that Sant Singh Ji Maharaj would explain were very, very simple. God created the universes. God took parts of God and sent them to inhabit these various regions of existence. Depending on where we were, different coverings, we call them bodies or coverings, were needed for our souls, which are a part of God, to live in those regions. And while we are in this physical region, God has given us an opportunity to truly know ourselves and to know God. And the key to experience God is not to be focused on the world outside. The world outside is not going to keep us happy perpetually. The world outside is not going to be keeping us fulfilled perpetually. The world outside is not going to keep us satisfied all the time. There will be some moments of happiness and joy. But then we'll have pain. Because everything on the outside is temporary. There's nothing permanent here. And this is the world of illusion, a world of Maya. And so he would tell everyone who would come to him that the reality is within ourselves. So instead of focusing on the world outside, we need to focus within ourselves. And the process of focusing within is called meditation. Sitting in silence. We need to quieten the body, we need to quieten the mind so the reality, our soul, can be experienced by us. But if there's a chattering of the body and chattering of the mind all the time, you can't pull through to be able to experience what the soul is all about. And so meditation is a process by which we take our attention away from the world outside. We quieten the body, we withdraw all our physical senses from the world outside, and we collect these sensory currents here at the seat of the soul. And then with help and guidance, we're uplifted into the regions beyond, which is occurring concurrently with this physical region of ours. And as we go on this spiritual journey, it's a journey of love, it's a journey of light. And the deeper we go into the higher states of consciousness, the more we experience of ourselves. And the more that we experience of ourselves, we realize that we are a part of God. And as that happens, then true understanding sets in. And when there's a true understanding, then our thoughts will be true, our words will be true, and our actions will be true. So true understanding or right understanding is what is needed. And that understanding is what tells us who we are, who's the Creator, what is our relationship with the Creator. And that understanding tells us we are soul, we are part of God. We're part of the Creator. And in this human body we can experience the Creator for ourselves. We can see the Creator, we can hear the Creator, we can talk to the Creator. It all happens within ourselves. And as we learn the techniques of meditation, we then are uplifted into that presence. So today, as we gather all around the globe, in remembrances of Sant Singh Ji Maharaj, let us focus on his teachings. Let us experience ourselves as we truly are. Let us take steps towards our goal and know that with God's grace, we will be getting closer and closer to God at every step that we take within ourselves. So let us meditate for a few minutes. Please sit as comfortably as you can. Close your eyes very gently, just like you close them when you go to sleep. Your eyeball should be straight, focus 8 or 10 inches in front of you. And as you close your eyes, those of you who have been initiated in the mysteries of the Beyond, please do your Simran. Those of you who are new here, please repeat any name of God that you feel comfortable with. This repetition of God's name should be done mentally and not out loud. And as you repeat God's name, let all of your attention be focused right in front of you. In the darkness, light will sprout forth. Keep your gaze in the middle of your experience. These lights might seem in the beginning to be flashes of light, circles of lights coming and going. Over time, they'll stabilize for you. So what is happening is that the light of God is within each and every one of you. As you concentrate, you experience the light. As you're distracted, you experience darkness. With time, as you spend more and more time towards your meditative practices, your concentration improves. The lights seem to be stabilized for you. And then many, many other vistas open up. I pray to God Almighty and to the three great spiritual masters of the past century, Hazur Baba Sawan Singh Ji Maharaj, Param Sant Singh Ji Maharaj, and the gracious spiritual master, Sant Darshan Singh Ji Maharaj, to help each and every one of us here connect with the divine power within and to experience the divine light in its effulgence. We'll be sitting for a few minutes and I'll be getting you out of this meditative state at that time. And my best wishes are with each and every one of you. Please leave off. छोड़ दीजिए जी.